Welcome to your favorite show, Most Likely Not. We have a loaded show for you today. We have everything from new war campaigns to unicorns to GCD to PvP to cats to Magra orcs to the burning of Teldrassil to even some transmog and much, much more. So without further ado, let us get right into it. As always, I'm your host, Dab. Usually, this is when I would say, joined by the lovable, often imitated, really capitulated Road. He did something like, good morning, good evening, good night. But sadly, he's not able to be here today. It's a little bit ironic, given that we moved it to today from tomorrow, our usually time for him. But I'll only get mad at him internally. So I'm flying the ship solo. Maybe later in the show, I'll bring in some guests if it happens. So, without further ado, let's get into our first topic. We got some more information on the war campaigns. Now, it starts off here pretty simple. You have to get friendly with the three sort of faction reputations. You have your Nazmir, your Vol'dun, and Zandazar. And this is pretty par to the course. It's kind of what we expected. Similar to what you had to do to unlock World Quests in Legion. I'd imagine that if you're doing questing, it shouldn't be a big problem. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Then after we get that, we get a flight master whistle, which should be fantastic. Honestly, the flight master whistle is one of the reasons why not having flying in Legion wasn't as much to drag as it really could be. So we're gonna get that right after, so it should be pretty early on. And then we unlock world quests, and we do a few world quests, whatever. And then we enter Tiragard Sound, which is in Kultiris, and we start to build outposts there, and we do basically world quests there for a while. It's we don't have a ton. We set traps for the enemies, but it's going to look a lot of fun. I'm really hoping that they really go all out with the with sort of the quests in the other zones, because I think will really make or break the whether or not we get the feeling of a real war going on is going to be based on these quests, in my opinion, if they're good or not. And I'll be looking forward to see how that happens. There, we have some screenshots here, of course. We got a dead captain here. I wonder how that could happen. Probably us, I'd assume. Horde were pretty aggressive. Now, Alliance players is probably like, okay, so you got to do this. What do I got to do? We have some big information here. For the Alliance, we also get an early look at their war campaign. Now, it's a pretty similar thing. Here we have the war campaign UI. It's the same for the Horde. Basically shows you what quests you have to do to sort of follow the war campaign. It should just make it easier so you don't get lost on the quest line. But it's a similar idea where you have to unite the various tribes, or not tribes, factions, get all exalted. And then here you can see the established foothold UI. You're also going to be getting this on Horde side, where you get to pick, okay, I'm going to go Zandalzar, Vol'dun, and Nazmir. And of course, while you're in those zones, you hang out with some questionable individuals like the Blood Trolls and raise old gods, but that's besides the point. Alliance. We also have some screenshots here from some of the outposts you're able to do. And what's really cool about these outposts, these are going to have Dark Iron Dwarves, as you can see the mole machines there. Let's see, I don't know if they have a screenshot on this one, but in one of the previous ones we saw, for the Horde, these outposts are going to have like Nightfall in them. I don't think we have a screenshot here, but we saw it in a previous one. So they're continuing a lot of the races from Legion that became valid races, and I wouldn't be surprised if we also see High Mountain Tauren in some of the Horde encampments. Now, probably some of the news, biggest clickbait. I can tell you this is going to be the thumbnail. We got unicorns. We got a tameable unicorn in BFA. Now, if I'm not mistaken, in fact, I'm not mistaken, this is a model that we have before. We've seen it with Lucid Nightmare. We've also seen it with the Reputation mount that you can get from the Reputation boxes. And the, I want to say Valjira, but I might be incorrect there. Or somebody wants to fact check me in chat. But yeah, especially this one looks a lot like Lucid Nightmare. I think you can really tell. Let's see, Ro usually looks at these in the model view. Look fancy spinning around. Yeah, as you can see, I really love this model. I'm glad they're going to continue doing it. And when they say tameable, I'm pretty sure that they will be able to be used as hunter pets as well. And hopefully we see them also be able to be got as a mount. Now, the biggest gripe that a lot of people have been having with BFA, and honestly, the only downside that's really been presented so far is the GCD change. And a lot of people are angry about this because it's true. Playing the beta, I played a monk, a Windwalker monk, which is what I don't main it anymore, but I used to main it. So I'm familiar with the Windwalker monk. I'm not bad by any respects. And it was really clunky. And I have to assume that was because of the GCD changes. So they've started to take stuff off the GCD. Now, in this post, it just talks about how they're removing racial abilities and trinkets from the GCD. And the philosophy that they're kind of starting to go with is like, anything that doesn't have direct throughput in the terms of damage or something like that, or actually makes your character do something, taking off the GCD again because it doesn't feel right. And I totally agree with this. I'm hoping this means that they're going to be going in the other direction and returning to what it was previously, but we don't know. We also have a sort of more comprehensive list of what will and will not be on the GCD. Something else to take a note here, they're doing a new GCD thing where they have a 1.5 second and a 0.5 second GCD, so it should help make everything a little bit smoother. Is that right? Yeah, it was Valshara and Dream. That was correct. It also said it on the WoW head page, I realized. But as you can see, a ton of stuff is on the GCD that wasn't previously. However, they're starting to pull back on this, so I would be surprised if this list is anywhere close to this long, given BFA's launch. But another thing, of course, if there's an ability that you see on this list that you think shouldn't be on this list, make it known to Blizzard. If you're in the BFA Alpha, go onto the beta forums. If you're just mad about it, tweet them. Be respectful, but tell them that you're unhappy about it. Because they're listening. They understand that GCD may not be the best change. So they're listening and they're ready to make changes. I'm trying to find one where I can sort of better speak on it. Okay, here we go. Windwalker. Your Invoke, Zune, the White Tiger is now in the GCD. Same with Stormworth and Fire, Energizing Elixir, and Serenity. And Fist of the White Tiger, which I don't exactly use. But I'd say these two are the ones that were really slowing it down. Especially Energizing Elixir. Serenity less so. And also another thing about Energizing Elixir for Monk, they actually made it so that it reduced the amount of chi it gives you, which didn't help the clunky factor. I'm going to tell you that much. But as you can see, it's a very great, large list of things that are being added to the. But as you can see, stuff have already started to get removed, like Symbol of Death, others. Of course, you can't talk about the GCD without getting people angry. But you know what makes people happy? Lifts people's spirits? Cute pets, am I right? Well, we got just that for you here. We have the Bazis Dark Sign, which gives us this adorable pet. Very cute. I like it. It's as you can see, it's a sacrificial lamb or goat covered in various occult symbols and iconography, but it is fairly cute. We also get a transmog set. Now this is similar to the Trial of Valor set, where you get one set and it activates for you. We don't know exactly where we're going to get this from yet, but it's still a cool set. As you can see here, the shoulders remind me a lot of the Mythic Dungeon set from Legion, Fur Cloth. The cloth set, by the way. The helm is straight something of the Pope. This whole thing screams Shadow Priest to me, and I think it would work really well, especially some of the pieces. We also learned a little bit about alchemists. They can now craft a mystical cauldron, which provide the mystical flask, and it basically seems to be the same thing as your as the cauldron from Legion. So they're continuing that forth, which is good. I think the cauldron is a very great thing for sort of a raid. It's great for a guild environment. We also get a few new crafting regens. We have like a Blood of Sargeras clone, basically. A few new recipes, some fishing items. I think you're going to still be able to use your artifact fishing pole. That has been confirmed. I do, however, wonder if we're going to see that system be expanded or if it's going to be forgotten and it will just be something like a good fishing pole. A few new toys and some food and drink. The food and drink are all fairly boring at the moment. Of course, we don't have any crazy like fighter chows yet. Now, what do you do when you eat fighter chow? Yeah, you may run some old dungeons, but the name makes you think of fighters. What makes you think of fighters? PvP, war mode, war mode. If you don't know what war mode is, it's the new PvP system or the world PvP system that they're going to be introducing in BFA. The basic idea of it is help reinvigorate world PvP. They're making it an opt-in, opt-out scenario. So when you go to your sanctuary city, which won't just be a town or something, it'll have to be Stormwind or Dalaran or, well, probably not Dalaran, Stormwind, Borealis or Zuldazar, you're going to be able to activate war mode, which means that whenever you go out into the world, you're in a PvP scenario and you're going to be in a shard with other people who are activating war mode. Another thing to note, though, is you won't be able to unlist from war mode until such a point in which you have returned to the capital city. So once you're in, you can't exit. This is similarly to kind of how it works on a PvE servers now, except it will shard you with other people who actually use it, so you'll actually see people and you aren't able to switch out of it easily. Now, some of the benefits to war mode is you're going to be able to use all the PvP talents out in the middle of the world, which is very useful while leveling. You're also going to be able to get an experience bonus of 15%, which means I definitely would use war mode early on, because before like anyone's really max level, war mode is going to be very beneficial, and I think there'll be few downsides to it, just because you're going to basically just be getting free XP, like a free 50% XP gain, given that no one's probably going to want to gank you if they're not even there. Anyway, but war mode is looking very interesting. Uh, Now we have actually a ton of new stuff that's been added to Borealis. Borealis being the capital city of Kultiran. One of the coolest and newest things we have is the Crazy Cat Lady. The Crazy Cat Lady, I'm pretty sure, well, obviously an age-old concept, but I'm pretty sure it originated in WoW near Goldshire. There is a room with the Crazy Cat Lady. She seems to have a Pepe, so I know is a very popular figure. This is the Pepe in helmet. A lot of people might be wondering about that, and she shows off all the new cat models. She's, kitted out, all the great cats. No cat toys, but that's fine, except for the couple balls of yarns and fish. Honestly, another great thing just to add flavor to the whole thing. I always love these little things, even if they're kind of stupid, because they add flavor. You also get some new screenshots of the dock. And Borealis is looking like a wicked bustling city. Nothing against Zuldazar. Zuldazar is fine. But Borealis has a lot more wow factor, in my opinion. Because Zuldazar, it's cool and everything, but it leaves a lot to be desired in sort of the small scale. Like, on the big scale, Zuldazar is wicked cool. It looks awesome. It's made out of gold. But on the small scale, in Borealis, you have all these little stories, like the Crazy Cat Lady's house. You see these docks with all this detail. There's so much detail put into it. And it's so much more spread out. You see more on the docks. You have a harbor here. Some great furniture, some cakes, pastry place. Tons of new models. Honestly, very cool. We also have, finally, some information about the Magar orcs and how we are going to actually be getting them in BFA. If you were wondering, essentially we get to Draenor, and this is old Draenor, basically going back in time, which fine. We meet the Magar orcs, and they are disgusted by how orcs are corrupted in our timeline. But you know what? I'm disgusted by orcs too. Let's be honest here. They don't even know to straighten their back until now. And you basically convince them to come join us and reinvigorate the horde. Ettrig is going to be sort of your chauffeur. No, that's not the word. He's going to be basically the person who helps you out with this. Now, I would assume that it would have been Sourfang, except of course Sourfang's tied up with the whole alliance thing at the moment, so that can't happen. And there's a ton of dialogue or broadcast text. You want to read it here? It's honestly, it looks pretty boring. It basically just comes down to we go back in time. They don't like what we are now, and we basically have to be like, okay, help fix us. Now, speaking of something we've all been waiting for, we've been talking about burning Teldrassil for a long while, and a lot of people have been wondering, what are the specifics of burning Teldrassil? I've been asking that too. It's honestly, I don't know. It's questionably ethical, and there's a lot. It leaves a lot to be desired. But we got some information on it finally. Basically, Sourfang is kind of against it, but he does what he has to do, following Sylvanas' orders. So we burn down Teldrassil. Of course, Malfurion and Tyrande are pissed off, and we basically we're not. No one comes out happy. Sylvanas is kind of pissed off, but she did it. The Bronze Dragonflight are whoa. And here's a hot thing about Teldrassil that a lot of people haven't been bringing up. When Teldrassil was created, it was meant to be a new world tree, but it was corrupted in the Emerald Nightmare and filled with old god power. So I've always thought that when we burn down Teldrassil, what if we're possibly releasing old god power into the world? Because we're opening up, we're breaking the thing that holds all this power. So of course it has to go somewhere. It can't just dissipate. So it might be releasing into the world again, and maybe into the closest person who, might be Sylvanas. That's a little bit crackpot, a little bit tinfoil hat, but that's my hot take on burning of Teldrassil. Honestly, would have been better if we didn't. But we finally have this scenario for it. Fully understand sort of what's going to go on with it. Now, for the part that everyone's been waiting for, the pig mask, as well as a couple other things. We got a hot pig mask here. This is wooden. Probably assume it's going to be an item. There's a sort of pig questing thing during, I think it's Druxvar. So I assume it's going to be an item you get there, like a toy. It'll also be an interesting Halloween reward. I'm assuming that it's just a toy that applies to your face and not actually a face mask or like a helm. But that could be wrong. That's really cool. We also have, this is a Dark Iron shield, and I'm wondering if you're only going to get this as if you're only going to be able to get this as Dark Iron, or if you're going to be able to get this as a non-Dark Iron through questing. I'm kind of hoping the latter, because I could see this going well with a ton of transmogs, specifically like the Blackrock transmog, or like the Train transmog that you get from the Garrison. If you know the one I'm talking about, I think it would go fantastic with that. You have another shield here. This one would go. This shield is specifically for the Paladin Blood Elf, the one with gold eyes now. Let me just look at the name here. Yeah, Lady Lydradrin. This is her shield, and I'm wondering if we're going to be able to get this in game. I'm assuming no. If we do, I could see a couple sets this would go well with. We also have her sword. And here's where we get some new stuff. Now, this is the starter pet for Dark Iron Dwarves. As you can see, it's a wolf. And here is a new battle pet we're going to be getting. It's going to be a Squid Pirate. We have a couple different color variations for this, as you can see. Green, blue, purple. And these are adorable. And I'm not much of a battle pet guy, but I'm really interested to see sort of like how we get these. This is obviously a slightly less adorable squid, but still up there, honestly. Something I have been hearing a little bit of mumbling about is we might be moving to a new battle pet charm system. The battle pet charms that we've been using now have been in place since battle pets started in Mista Pandaria, which, when you really think about it, was a decent amount of time ago. So we may be moving to a new currency, which is kind of a screw you to the people who've been farming up 11,000. 11,300 and something, or whatever my friend Crimson has. Kind of a screw you that we're going to be switching away from the system, but that's neither here nor there. I'm assuming this might be a wild pet given the amount of color variation. However, it's a very cool pet at that. And of course, what could we do if we didn't have class changes in talent? I mean, come on. Everyone loves the pets. I understand. Who doesn't love new pets and shields? But you know what I love? New achievements and new talent changes. Let's get right into this. We got some new achievements. Of course, we got the Battleground achievements. We have the Rated Seething Shore, Rated Seething Shore Victories, Seething Shore Battles Victories. You get it. That's, of course, assumed. You also have a few profession things where you get 50 items in the Scrap Mac. Now, the Scrap Mac was something we showed weeks ago. I think it was actually the episode with Soul Sabrizi. It was back in the day. And this Scrap-O-Matic there, it's very interesting because we at that point we weren't really sure what it was. A lot of people were saying that it was going to be a blacksmithing item. I still to this day assume it's going to be an engineering item, and the fact that it's called Scrap-O-Matic seems to sell that to me. So it seems like we're going to be able to scrap gear or items, and there's an achievement for full scrap, given a scrap, and holy scrap. Of course, playing on the four-letter word that it bears a slight resemblance to, but that's neither here nor there. These achievements, of course, I think are a pretty good indicator that it's going to be an engineering item. We also got Kiran, Master of All, where you raise all primary professions to 150. Of course, 150 being the new maximum, or close to the new maximum, because of the way that the new professions will be working. We also get a professional Kiran Master, Zandalar Master grade. Scraptastic, same on the scrap vein. Working for Clotiris. Yeah, basically these are all crafting professions, and it really just is pretty basic stuff. We also have some cooking stuff, catering for combat, for cooking feasts and banquets, cultivating and cooking. Those are pretty boring. We have a ton of fishing ones. We have some for fishing, just fishing here. Something I don't see a ton of is like rare fishing achievements. We do have a couple here, like fish up in Utaka and Darzul, Zandal, and we've seen like we have one of the fish up as Moonlight, fish up a Razdorlis. So it seems like we have a few of them, and these must have something to do, like these must be some kind of a rare fish. So I'm not 100% sure on these. These might play into the fishing pole if that's going to continue forth. And then, of course, we have all the leveling fishing. We also have a few new archaeology achievements, as well as some miscellaneous ones. For example, kicking some flounders. Clearly, they're keeping that mechanic in. And a few other ones. Also, we have here free Mimi the Mummy from King's Rest on Mythic difficulty. And I'm wondering if this might have something to do with the pet that we've been seeing floating around. Let's hope. Now we have a bunch of new map stuff. We have a new world map here. As you can see, it includes Zandalzar. It's like Sandals Resort. I don't know how to say it right. Zandalzar, Kultiris, and the Broken Isles are of course still there. Now there's a ton of open space here. I'm surprised they didn't spread it out, but I'm sure there's some little reason why they can't. And as you can see, these look actually pretty close to done. We also get a specific map of Zandalzar here. And again, this seems pretty close to done. It just needs a few niceties added. And you can see just how big this is the main zone. This is where your capital city is going to be and stuff. The desert zone, and this is the other one. You also have the same with Kultiris. Similar layout. The only thing I'd note is that the Tiragard Sound, which is where you have the capital city, is actually kind of small compared to the other zones. A little bit of a difference there. Of course, then you have the big map. Sorry about that. Opened up a few too many tabs. We also have a few new loading screens as well as some overhead maps. As you can see, here's an overhead map. These are probably going to be dungeon. These are for older. You can sort of get an idea of the layout of this place. Very sprawling, open. We have some awesome loading screens here. Some great art. This, of course, we're not 100% on this one. I have to assume that this has something to do with, of course, that's one of the Alliance war air machines. It's a horde camp, so probably something to do with like a war campaign thing. We have a cool one. This is probably somewhere in Kultiris. Zandalzar, of course. And then some overhand map stuff. We also have a ton of new icons. And it'd be crazy to go through all these. A lot of feathers and stuff. Of course, this is the pig mask from earlier, which kind of makes me think that it might be. Well, I guess toys also have icons like that. And of course, we have all the new weapons and stuff that have been added to here. This is obviously the pet that we get. I'm just trying to look out here. Obviously, some transmog. There's nothing out here that sticks out as going to be a new mount that we haven't heard of yet. And that's what we got here. We also have a environmental preview for the raids. As you can see, here's what I hope to be a teleporter to make it easier to move around. And obviously, you get the classic old god construction, harsh edges. I love it. Even an ethereal here, which is interesting because a lot of people have been talking about having ethereals in an allied race. So seeing an ethereal in the raid might be a good sign for that theory. We also have a portal here. This is obviously the instance portal. We have again the raiding part. Got to that. Here's where that's where the first boss Talik is going to be. Here's where Mother is going to be. As you can see, you get a awesome blue color scheme. I think it's highlighted. There we go. Still very blue color scheme here with Mother, and behind her this floor is corrugated. We also have Vescus here, who's going to be a blood form monster. We saw that model before. Metharax, which we get in Voldoon. We get his boss room. And this place looks awesome. It's like completely covered with like very sandy, almost like Phyllis-esque like bug stuff. And I really love the scale of this boss. I mean, it's just it's awesome, in the classic sense. And it really helps build the scale. We have the Devour, the three-headed creature that we had seen earlier, who is a chimera, if you're that kind of lore. And we can just see already how varied, if you look across this, like just the colors, it's so varied, the boss room. Something that we haven't really seen a ton in Legion, and that's awesome that they're going back to that. Here's Zool. He gets an awesome full arena outdoors. The out area, that kind of reminds me of Northrend a lot. And of course, we fight him on this arena platform. We get Zekov, who's going to be summoning old god stuff. I assume that's probably why there's wheels. And then we have the central area here, which is probably how we're going to get to the various things. Looks like it's going to be a pretty open raid as far as like what order we do the bosses in. And I'm really looking forward to sort of diving farther into that. Well, that covers our current news segment. A little bit quicker than usual. We don't have Ro's traditional drowning on, but we got to kick it into the current segment. My personal favorite, honestly. Talking about the new stuff is always interesting. Talking about what's going on right now, a little bit more palpable, a little bit more real. So let's get right into it. And Ro, this is something that Ro would go crazy over. We had a plus 29 key getting done this week. We have the article right here. The first plus 29 key ever was completed. It was completed by a pretty well-known mythic team. Narwith, I think is the name, and they completed they completed a lower Karazhan, which I can't even do a lower Karazhan on like +2, so that's pretty it's pretty crazy. And they just blew the other records out of the park. Now, as a reaction to this, Wowhead and Raider.io have teamed up to create a contest, push after the world first +30, which seems like a good number to try to end this expansion on, a +30 world first. And they have a reward of one head. The prices are one year of Wowhead Premium, which I guess is nice. A sort of amount of choice from the Battle.net store. 1 year of Raider.io Revered, which I assume is their premium service as well. And 1 year of Warcraft Logs Platinum, which is also their premium service. And of course the prizes, they're nothing crazy, but if you're already a dungeoneer like that, you probably probably doesn't matter to you much. It's more for the thrill of it. And of course, you get well recognized for it. I don't know how long it's going to take them to crack this. I don't know how long they were at. I think they were at plus 28 for a while. So I can imagine that it will be a couple months before we get a plus 30 crack. But people's gear is, I mean, it's getting better still, although not really that much more better. But people are just getting so much more trained on these. And if you get a good keystone, I don't know. Also in current, we had the Bloon Festival. I actually did this last year, but not this year. It was a ton of fun. Basically, what you do during the Bloon Festival is take balloons and travel around. They show you various areas and they go through some dialogue. Now, for your viewing pleasure, you're still able to do this today, which I do suggest you do. Have your volume on because it is voice acting. But in case you missed it, I'll catch you up with one of my favorite ones. Let's see. I think it's the High Mountain Tauren one. It's done by Nessenwary, so I'll do it in a dwarf voice for you. Welcome, friends, to the Nessenwary Bloon Tour, O High Mountain. Brought this balloon from a wee goblin. Claimed it'd make a good perch for shooting moose. Lately, though, I don't know. Been falling a bit down. Hunting don't bring the same joy it once did. Not even shooting critters from hot air balloons can cheer me up. Now I'm melancholy. Anybody know any jokes? Here, I'll start. Why do dwarf hunters use guns? Because you can't drink you can't drink ale from the barrel of a bow. Good goof. Solid goof. It's okay for me to tell that one. I'm a dwarf and a hunter. I assume that's where your player name. You got any? How about you, Z? Y, another player name. Or even you, Z, another person. Someone cheer me up. Hey, that brightened me spirits. Thanks for you keeping an old hunter company. Old hunter company? Old hunter company, and that's what you do / joke or what have you. We have some other nice ones. Ran by various people. You have tour guides like Hemet Nessenwary, which I think really works. I think it's you get a ton of really fun ones. Here's somebody who plays games during the thing. Welcome aboard. Today I will guide you on a tour of Stormheim. See all the stuff down there? That's Stormheim. Sorry, I'm not a very experienced tour guide. Subtle writing, I know. So, any of you know any balloon party games? Oh, I've got one called Kiss, Marry, Slay. Whoa, getting hot, I'm heavy. You just have to pick one person you would kiss, and one person you'd marry, and one person you slay. Okay, let me go first. X. That's a person. You've got a nice face, and it looks like you're the only one who brushes her teeth. I would kiss you. I would slay Y for obvious reasons, and that leaves Z to marry. I could live with that. Yeah. Okay, my turn's over. Somebody else go next, and then hilarity ensues. I promise. You also get some stuff from the Nightborn. Looks like it was a ton of fun. Honestly, I did it last year. I had a blast. I suggest doing it this year if you haven't yet. No, I can't. I can recreate Shen Stormshout as best I can, but it will never be the same. Welcome aboard. Please sit back and enjoy the ride. Below you will see Crystal Song Forest. I'm sad to say, despite all my travels, I haven't spent much time. I could tell you why. But I do have fond memories of my time in Northrend. Just above over the ridge lies Sholshin Basin. There I met tribes of Wolvar and Murloc Oracle, such strange creatures. After all my journeys I've been on, I still remember that day most clearly. Please pardon me for blathering. No doubt the tales of your adventures are much more interesting. What about you? To what exotic places have you traveled? You? What tales of exploration do you hold there? I'll let the three of you talk amongst you. I need to make sure I don't crash the balloon into Dallas. So basically, you get queued with 3 random people and I guess meant to socialize. But last time I did this, people just /spit on me, and there was a lot of /flirting. That was nice. Another thing we have this week, we had BlizzCon. Now, I'm not going to be at BlizzCon. Ro's not going to be at BlizzCon. Don't expect it. But tickets for BlizzCon, I think base, they cost about 200 clams, which is that's a pretty penny. It's on the upper echelons. I probably wouldn't be able to afford to go anyway. But to make matters worse, totally sold out the first day. Now they're reopening sales tonight. They might have already done that. I'd check that out if you're interested. But I'd say if they've already opened them, they're gone because scalpers pick them up really quickly, and then they resell them for crazy prices. I've been seeing them going for something like $2,000 on Amazon, eBay for a ticket, which, you know, if you're anyone normal, is a crazy amount of money. Also this week we have the Mage Tower that just went up, which means if you're interested in doing it, do it now. This might be, I don't know, you're gonna have about 2-ish more months to do the Mage Tower before you won't be able to do it ever again. I'd say if you're putting it off, do it this week. Get it done with. It's not that hard. There are fabulous guides on Wowhead as well as many other sites, YouTube. Just look up Mage Tower Guide. I'm sure you're going to find it for whatever your class is. Detailed, easy to follow. As long as you're over like 940, it's a joke. And even 930. I mean, it was made for 910-ish. So anything above that, it really drastically decreases the difficulty. The only case where that's not really true is the Healer 1 doesn't scale super well in the sense that it doesn't scale at all because none of them scale. So the mobs that you're healing and helping don't scale up, which you think would make it easier, but they just take damage as quickly as they always have. So it can be just as difficult as it was when it came out, despite our great gear. Of course, I've done it on my priest, and not super hard to do. It's just kind of tedious and time consuming. Now, something that we cannot miss. We have Leroy Jenkins, approximately 13 years today. This is sort of if you don't know, WoW does this week in history. Very interesting. But I'm trying to find where they put it here. Yeah, this about 13 years ago today, Leroy Jenkins made his debut into the popular culture, and it sort of sprung crazily into it. And you know what's crazy? Not that long ago, a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, there was a skit with Family Guy. I didn't watch it, but I've heard about it. And I was making a bet with Ro, and we're like, I'm like, they're probably gonna do Leroy Jenkins because it's Family Guy, and subtlety is not something that killed at. So he's like, no, they can't do a Leroy Jenkins skit, but they did. Leroy Jenkins is still honestly what I'd say a decent chunk of people think of when they think of World of Warcraft. Either that or the South Park episode, which, is here nor there. Honestly, I haven't watched the Leroy Jenkins forever, so let's just watch the video real quick. I'll throw out a nice gargling Leroy when he gets on.
Okay, guys, these eggs have given us a lot of trouble in the past.
I remember we used to watch this video on loop
does anybody
when it
need
first came out.
anything off this guy, or can we bypass him?
I think Leroy needs something from this guy.
You didn't know this was actually a
he does
quote-unquote recreation
isn't he
of the actual thing. Apparently,
but that'll help him heal.
They said this happened, but it's really questionable.
Christ. Okay, well, what we'll do, I'll run in first, gather up all the eggs so we can kind of just, blast them all down with AoE. I will use Intimidating Shout to kind of scatter them so we don't have to fight a whole bunch of them.
So that's why it seems kind of...
when my shout's done...
A lot of people thought that it was on the spur of the moment, but it really wasn't. It was a recreation
so we can keep them scattered,
of something that may or may not have ever happened.
When his is done, Bass, of course, need to run in and do the same thing. We're going to need Divine Intervention on our mages so they can AE. So we can, of course, get them down fast.
AE is something you don't hear people say anymore. It's always AoE now.
Take them down quick.
But AE is the same thing.
I think it's a pretty good plan. We should be able to pull it off this time. What do you think, Abdul? Can you give me a number crunch real quick?
That's a meme they don't hear
Yeah,
anymore.
give me a sec. I'm coming up with 32.33, repeating, of course, percentage of survival.
Oh, that's a lot better than we usually do.
Alright, chums up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this.
Leroy Jenkins.
Oh my god, he just ran in.
The day that would go down in
stick to the plan.
infamy.
Oh Jesus, let's go.
Stick to the plan, Shove.
Stick to the plan.
Oh gee, oh fuck.
Give me Divine Intervention.
Hurry up.
Shout.
He's saying I can't cast. I can't move. Am I lagging, guys?
I can't move. What the hell? I can't AE. Oh my god.
Classic. And of course, it is something that I love this video. HD high quality. The quality of my ass. Let's just see how many views this video has. This is the 5 million. That seems surprisingly low, but it might not be the original. Which is crazy to think that 13 years ago today. Today is May 11th. Oh, it's 12th. So it's 13 years ago yesterday. Leroy Jenkins spurred into popular culture, and the world's never been the same. I'd say. Not really. But I still think it's funny that that's what people think of World of Warcraft. Now, segment that you've all been waiting for. One that I personally been waiting for. Now, I'm going to cut it real with y'all. Apparently, there's been a lot of talk about how I don't use democracy and how that's a problem. Now, in my eyes, democracy's for losers. But, apparently, people really like democracy. And they think, okay, this is what we gotta do. So fine, I'm going to allow this. I made a straw poll for this week's episode. And you can let me up and click it in chat. If you're on YouTube, of course, this link will be in the description. And I think I might post it on Twitter and a comment. You can go onto the straw poll, vote for who you think win, and your vote will be counted. And next week we will declare the winner. Now, because I got a lot of flack last week for declaring myself the winner, despite the fact that I think I may have won, we're going to be declaring the quote-unquote real winner from last week at the end of this, because a lot of people were saying who they thought it should be, and I guess if you were to count votes, it would be someone else. Fine. Let's just get right into this. We start off here with the amazing Crimson. Love the guy. Now, he sort of started a trend that I really like, which is, let me zoom in, which is sort of taking screenshots in areas that really match the color scheme. Great trend. I love it. I started to do it myself too. He also has a pet that matches. Now, this transmog actually took him a lot of work to get. Those shoulders are from Zul'Gurub. I know because I ran it with him a couple times on my shaman, give him more chances at it. In fact, we ran it also on our hunters who you can use mail, and it dropped. 2 of them dropped on the hunters who can use mail, but otherwise, couldn't get any of them to drop at all. This helm, I think honestly, this mug really works. There's a lot of different pieces, and it's from all over the game time-wise, but they really work well in tangent. A lot of the purples do match, even though they're slightly off. Like the purple on the weapon matches the purple on the shoulders. Purple on the breast matches the purple on the what do you got there? The purple on bracers, which all sort of work together to create a sort of nice, conducive outfit that is all one piece. Obviously, we also get the pet with this. Let's flip to a couple different directions. We also have a side view here so we can better see the weapon. Now, that's a shaman weapon if you don't know it. Good use of it. I'm not the hugest fan of the shaman weapon. I'll also mention that the glow on the shoulder plates match the glow on the eye. That's really good attention to detail. We also have a nice view of the shield. Now, the shield, the purple on that definitely matches the purple on the... Kind of does. It's kind of close to purple on this. And it's not the perfect shield for this. And I know why. But I have to say, if there was one piece that I would fix for this mog... And I know it makes me sound like an asshole because... I know that he was trying for that shield on like 3 different characters and it didn't drop. If there's one piece I'd fix on him, it's the shield. But the shield still works. It's just the metal on the shield doesn't match any other metal in the thing. Because the whole thing's like purple and gold. Well, the shield is purple and silver. And it's like the wrong purple. So I'd fix the shield if that would be possible. But I know for several reasons it's really not possible. The next contestant we have on here is me. The lovable Dab Eevee. Now, Ro may have made a submission for this week. But... for several reasons. As I said, Ro has some stuff he has to deal with at the moment, so he isn't on the show. Because of that, he actually doesn't have a submission this week. But we have me. This is the back of it, of course. This is my Ancient Mog. Kind of what I was thinking of when I made the topic. Although I'm actually, bringing it back to this, I like the interpretation of the Ancient theme here. Because Ancient's a very vague theme. And I think he really ran with it in a good way. You know, obviously, the classic shaman with the shoulders, that works for Ancient. But yeah, for me, this is what I was thinking when talking about Ancient. So of course they have the stars. This shield I love. I love this shield, and it matches with the star glow on both of those. And also, it basically matches those shoulders perfectly. and I love that. They're actually both from Mists of Pandaria, I think, although one's like an off-green item, the other's a raid item. Of course, I'm casting to sort of create that shaman-esque thing. This is my High Mountain Tauren Shaman. I don't play it very well, but I do love to transmog on it. This chest is from ICC. I'm not sure which. Yeah, ICC, I'm most 100% sure. Then the gloves. Pants, however, are from the current, Nighthold or something like that. It might be the PvP set that is the equivalent of Nighthold. I'm obviously not wearing a helm. I had a helm for this, but I decided against using it for several reasons. And we have 2 views there, so you can see the shield and not the shield. I really like this mod. I'm a big fan of it. I think I win, but we'll have a vote, because apparently that's required nowadays. We also have Ping here. Ping brought a really great mug, brought our all game this week. Another great interpretation of Ancient, one that I hadn't thought of before. Again, using the picking an area to do the set. This is near the burning... near the Dark Portal. It's in the area around that. As you can see, she has a raptor pet. This is one from Archaeology, I think. And she's near a fire. It totally fits the Mog. It's like a classic Savage Mog, which you'd think should be a shaman, but she's actually a leather wearer. She's actually a monk in this. And we have a couple different angles for her too. We have her sitting next to the fire, doing a weird crouching thing. I don't know. We also have here, this is a mog from new submission. This person never submitted before. Half Piece, submitting his idea of ancient or old. It's like a pirate who's been abandoned on a ship. This honestly seems like it could just be a random NPC, which is always a good sign for mogs. When a mog can blend into a background so well, that's a great sign. Now, this would have been great for our pirate episode or a pirate mog contest. In fact, I'm pretty sure it would win the pirate mog contest if he had submitted it then, but he submitted it now. I think it fits the theme decently. It has the idea of ancient. I don't know, however, if I think this would win this week. But I guess we'll have to see. Now, the winner of last week, due to popular demand, we voted. We have Ping's mog last week for Fel. That was the last week's topic was Fel. So Ping, fine, Ping wins. And you can obviously vote this week on the straw poll that will be linked in the bottom area. As you can see, you got some options here. I'm going to place my vote for who I think wins. Also, obviously, exclude Ro, because he was not here this week to submit a mog. And if he does submit one, we'll put it on Twitter and vote for him there. But you can see I cast my vote. And I hope you all cast yours. Thank you all for being here. I'm sure this was a little bit sad, having a little bit of a one-man show. Of course, we're missing all the classics. We're missing... I got to put